welcome to another episode of Repeater. My name is Evan.
And I am Pat.
Oh yeah, and today we are joined by actor, comedian Jesse Roth.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Thank
Jesse,
you.
Thank you for being here.
Of course. I love music.
That
Cool.
is why you're here. Okay. And so that we get to know you.
Yeah.
So that the world gets to know you.
Good.
Finally.
We love to first just like chit chat a little bit
Yeah.
about something we've been listening to lately.
Yeah.
So Pat, why don't you give it to us?
I have been getting back into modern baseball, who I believe they're a Philly band. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're a Philly band. I'm just going to say that.
Let's say it. Philly, deal with it.
The first song on You're Gonna Miss It All is a song called Fine Great. And it's just been a good song. It's really hit me hard this week.
Cool.
I'm knocking it out of the park like a baseball player.
Yeah, that is what that band's named after, is the most recent iteration of the MLB.
Yeah.
I'm sure. That's cool.
Yeah.
I have been listening a lot to an artist that a former guest of ours, Brady O'Callahan, recommended to us. His name is Zephaniah O'Hora. He's a New York City country artist. And I've been listening to his latest album. It's really, really good. But one song I really like is High Class City Girl from the Country. Mm-hmm. And Zephaniah is cool because he's singing like very straight up country songs about life in New York City, which has a bit of a contrast to it. But I also really enjoy being able to listen to a genre I really like, but also have it be about the city I live in, which is very like anachronistic with that genre typically.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, I love like just referencing like south of Houston or being on a train or this type of stuff. It's like, oh, this is not what I usually hear in country music. So it's very fun.
That's
and
cool.
That song in particular is good. It's kind of probably a common experience to a lot of us, maybe that aren't from New York City. It's a lot about somebody who's moved here, you know, and is trying to kind of keep up with New York City life, even though it's maybe not where you're born and bred.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Okay,
Jesse?
me?
Yeah.
I'm really good. I really just listen to sometimes the same 3 songs over and over again. But I guess I've been listening to Troye Sivan's first album because he's like gonna come out with a second one soon, and the song "Wild" is really good. And then also I've been listening to Dua Lipa because she's hot right now.
She's so good.
I know, and her album's really good, and also that song with Kendrick Lamar and SZA from the Black Panther soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Good
I'm loving
soundtrack. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Yeah, so just some pop tunes.
Speaking of pop tunes, what did you want to talk with us about today?
Yes, so I chose one of the songs from my favorite album ever, Melodrama by Lorde, and I chose the song Supercut.
Great. So let's listen to a quick clip of it right now.
Yeah. This song's like a song you could like listen to while you're driving. I love songs that feel like you're like in a movie. I mean, this song is about like imagining stuff as a movie, which is something I definitely do a lot, and I think a lot of people do. And it just got like a really good beat to walk to.
Yes.
I really like listening to this song when I'm on the Q train and we're going from Manhattan to Brooklyn. And the first time I heard it, I was on a bus and I cried, and just like so relatable.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we're going to get into it. That's just a little clip of the tune for everybody.
Yeah.
In case you don't know it, where were you in 2017 if you don't know that one?
Yeah, God.
But yeah,
Should've won
so
Best Album.
we got a little hint from that little preview you just gave us, but we're going to try to guess why you chose that song.
Mm-hmm. I just probably gave it away.
That's okay. Pat?
So I think that you were a big fan of the movie Drive, and you heard this song and you were like, oh, this is like really synthy like Drive, but better because it's Lorde, and happier because it's not the movie Drive. And that really connected with you.
Wow.
Am I supposed to say if you're wrong or not?
I nailed it, so you don't have to say anything.
I haven't seen Drive, so sorry.
Well, Pat might be wrong, but I'm going to nail it.
Okay.
I think very simply put, this was your album of 2017. Obviously, you already said it's the album of your life, but
Yep.
even if you hadn't said that, I'm just going to say album of 2017 because I think this was for a lot of people. And even though there's a lot of hits on here, because of your maybe chosen field of, like career and everything, the idea of a supercut is something that relates to you very deeply. And let's just say maybe you'd recently had a little relation. It didn't have to be a big one, but it was a thing where they're like, wow, putting this stuff in perspective as one moment kind of, or like a montage, a supercut is just this super spot on thing for me right now.
Yeah. You nailed it. And yeah. So am I supposed to explain?
Yeah, no, just
okay.
let it get into it.
So in general, like, album of my life. Before this album, I liked music and, I liked artists and stuff, but it was all very much like, I never super resonated with anything ever before. And people would be like, who's your favorite artist? What's your favorite? And I kind of didn't really have answers that were, super real. And, some people are just hardcore fans. And it was just struck me, the whole album. I was listening to the album for the first time on my way to my friend's house to edit a shot-for-shot remake that we made of the Greenlight music video. So it really started with Greenlight. I obsessed over the music video. We recreated it shot for shot, and then the morning that the album dropped, I was on my way to my friend's house to edit it because we were going to release it that day. And I was listening to the album. So I was already in a really good space. But yeah, this song came on, and just like what you said, I haven't been in a relationship, but I do that really easily where I imagine things in a montage form and how things would be put together in literally a supercut. So I heard the song and I just really resonated with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
She made it for you.
That's what I think. I mean, yeah. I just feel super connected to her.
I do think this is a bit of maybe a first on the show, is that someone who this was a turning point for you into music. Yeah. Right? Having an album so recently in your life, because this album came out last year. Yeah. To make you kind of become maybe a more invested music fan than you ever had been in your life before, which is something I think a lot of us go through, but usually in our teens or something, at a young, very impressionable point in our lives. Yeah. And I feel past that point, people are either very casual music fans and never get turned, or they're super into bands and music like you were just describing. So this is cool. Yeah. Cause
I think after listening to it now, I mean, before that, not long before that, I, started to listen to full albums and, get the experience as opposed to just listening to singles and stuff. But I think after listening to that album, I am now more open to receiving an album as a piece of art. And I've listened to a few albums since then that have really I've been this is a good album. But before that, I didn't care too much for albums. I was just in my late teens, younger 20s, just trying to consume as much music as I could so I could catch up, because I definitely didn't really I liked Hilary Duff and just random pop for most of my teenage life. So this changed it all.
That's cool. Yeah, because I feel when I was a teenager, before I quote unquote got into music, a lot of the CDs that were around were greatest hits, where you don't have to do any work to get to the good songs. Yeah. It's 18 of charting songs and whatever. Yeah. So listening to an album and getting used to the idea that sometimes there will be a lull, and either that's in energy or quality, but it's still a part of the whole.
But I will say that this album, there's no lull. Every single song is I've never had an experience where I've I could listen to any song. People ask me what my favorite, and I'm it changes all the time, and I don't really have a favorite. And just every song is so different and so good. I'm obsessed.
Sorry, go for it, Pat.
Was it out the gate that you were this is different, or was it you need to listen to it a couple times?
No, it was like the first song is Greenlight, I'm pretty sure, and then it's oh god, I should know this, but like
Can bring it up.
yeah, I'm trying to
It's a lot of bangers.
It was just like such a wonderful journey for me because I was just like every single song
Here we go.
is different.
Let's dive into the album.
Yeah, God.
Let's dive in.
Oh yeah,
Greenlight.
Greenlight. Oh, and then Sober is just so cool.
Give us a few thoughts
Yeah.
on each track.
Okay.
Okay, so Greenlight.
God, so beautiful. Like, and the piano part is like, I just love songs that kind of have like a pulse and that like feel like you're moving somewhere.
Arguably song of the summer 2017, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I recently, so you were at that show where she performed?
Who?
No, Lorde with,
No.
okay. Well, I recently saw her do a few things and she did Greenlight and it was like just on the piano and I really wanted to dance, but it was not, people were sitting down.
Sober.
Yeah, and just all the songs, like, you know, like how when songs like reference like getting drunk and like, you know, being drunk, it feel like it's like people like popping bottles and, you know, Bacardi and just stuff. I feel like her songs about partying are like more accessible.
Yeah.
You know, like, and Homemade Dynamite. I remember the first time I heard it and the moment in the song where she goes, like she makes a noise of dynamite. I hope I didn't
No, you're good.
mess with the levels. I don't know. I was like, that's so cool and just so real.
Yeah.
And then there's the Louvre. I'm like, and that one was cool because that's like an acoustic. So that was like the first point in the album that was a little bit different because all the other songs are more electronic. So that was very cool. And then Liability came out before the album, and that song is just, it guts you. It's so real, and I think resonates with a lot of people because she talks about, you know, being too much, and I think a lot of people have that like insecurity about themselves.
Is that an insecurity you share?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I try not to like think about it too much, but I definitely have moments where I'm like, I'm being too much right now.
Yeah.
Or like I'm, yeah.
What do you, because I was thinking about that song a lot too. And sometimes I wonder like if everyone knows, I'm sure a lot of us have that kind of like vernacular, but what do you feel like it means to you? Because I feel like that wasn't something like when I was a teenager, it's like not really the thing we used to describe people, and it's become more of a thing.
Yeah, when people say
recently.
like you're extra, you're being extra.
Extra is kind of the same thing, right?
It's just like
so what does it
too loud, too like dramatic, I think. Because like Lorde, all of her lyrics, and I think she kind of talks about is that she's very dramatic and like takes things, I don't know, and you know, her synesthesia, it's like every little thing is a bigger thing. And yeah, I just mostly think of like too loud or too much energy or just thinking about things too much.
Doesn't she talks about like being her mother's daughter and how it's like, I'm gonna love you forever. Like you're gonna have to sort of deal with this.
I love you till my breathing stops. That's Rider in the Dark is really good too. Because my mother is from Brooklyn. She's really loud and just like a big personality. And when I'm in like a group of people, I can be that way, but sometimes then I get self-conscious about it. So then I will like become more introverted.
Right.
Yeah.
Hard Feelings, Loveless.
Well, that one's cool because it's 2 songs in one. And and like her lyrics are so simple. These are what we call hard feelings of love. And just, the music of that, it's like sounds like metal not scraping, that's bad. But it just like, there's like metal sounds in the background of that one. And then and it goes into a different song, and I haven't heard many. I know that a lot of artists do that, but many songs that are 2 songs in one.
Yeah, I mean, if that's newer to you, that's like practically mind blowing.
Yeah,
it's a cool thing.
And and like then there's Sober 2, and I remember first seeing that I was like, what? Like a second version? And just to me, it feels like an album that she put so much work into, and you can feel it.
And she has 2 of those on this album, right? Because she also has Liability Reprise.
Oh yes, and that one's so good too. Yeah, Rider in the Dark we talked about is just like so beautiful. And there's a video of her doing it at the Bowery Ballroom right when the album came out, and like it's a cappella. And there's a part where people try to sing along with her, and she like shushes them. She's like, let me just sing this, and I'm like, I got you.
And really then Perfect Places, right?
Oh
the final,
my
the
God.
track, the album closer.
Yeah. Oh my God. So fun to dance to and to walk to. And the videos that I've seen of her performing it live are really good. She did it on like Jimmy Fallon, where she had like branches on her back and she would like rip the branches out at the end. And then she did it again on Seth Meyers, but she had like a chorus of high schoolers sing it with her.
That's cool.
And so, yeah. And also this is like the first artist I've ever like obsessed over, like in their entirety, like music, you know, like.
Yeah, what else about her?
I love her Twitter.
Into? Oh, yeah.
Her Twitter's so
I don't think
funny.
I've seen her Twitter. Really.
Oh my God, she's very like dramatic and has like a lot of flowery language, but also like when she got nominated for a Grammy, she tweeted at the other artists that she was friends with, and she was like, "We're gonna get so drunk." So yeah,
Role model.
I will. Okay, she did just tweet earlier today. Way too hype for Incredibles 2. I've waited half my life for this.
Wow.
So I know she's like
She's
20.
young.
She just turned 21. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
She's talented.
Yeah, and
Where's she from?
New
New
Zealand.
Zealand.
So that's why she's so fun.
Yeah, I know, and she's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her Instagram, like her pictures from the tour, are beautiful. Yeah.
She has a seemingly great like life and personality and aesthetic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She seems, you described her as an artist, and like a lot of times there's like musicians or bands that you're into or musicians that you're into, and like they're also very talented, but she also seems like somebody, as you pointed out, that cares about every part of it.
Yeah.
Because there's a part of this song where the production changes a little bit, where her voice all of a sudden gets a little more reverby, and like you can hear the room that she's in. So it takes it out of that
Yes,
like,
at the end. Yes.
yeah, it kind of takes it out of this like kind of dancey track to be like, no, she's in a room singing that.
Yeah, her album is definitely not something you could just like leave on. Like for example, like the new Haim album is something I would just put on and like not think about, because
Yeah.
it kind of like all sounds very similar. So, but for her, it's like you got like you can't not pay attention to the song, because a song will completely change, and she'll introduce like new like melodies and stuff later in the song. So I love it.
It's a good headphones album.
Yeah. And she talks about how she has synesthesia. So like colors, she like sees and hears colors. So that is like very much a part of how she created the album. And she talks about like violets and blues. And I don't know if I have synesthesia, but listening to the album, I like, it starts to evoke more, you know.
So has this album woken you up maybe to like any other artists or songs even in particular that you think maybe you're connecting now with in like a deeper way than you would have before getting really into Melodrama?
I know, I'm trying to think about any like past like albums before, and I don't know. I think it's more like just going forward, like there were just a lot of albums last year, and every album I would hear, though, I would compare it to Melodrama.
But that's what I mean. Even new
Yeah.
stuff since then. Do you feel like you're listening more deeply or anything?
Yeah. I try to, but like, when I heard Reputation by Taylor Swift, I was like, this does not even compare. This is like, oh, like I want the album to be like a revenge album, and like I'm bad, but then, and the songs they're not awful, but I just think, it's easy. I think easier for me to spot or to know when I am resonating with something as opposed to not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier that you've been listening to more full albums. What are some of those?
I'm trying to think what's recent. I mean, I feel like what's come out so far. I don't know. I try to stay on top of things that are coming out.
Well, you did just mention the new Black Panther soundtrack. I don't know if
yes,
you've
I
had a
haven't
chance to
listened to the
listen
whole
to
thing.
it. Oh,
But
it's
like,
yummy. It's
oh my
good.
God. But like I listened to, I listened to Man of the Woods.
Oh, yeah.
And God,
How was
what a
that?
mess.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't say I've listened to it, but boy, that's what it seems like.
yeah, it's just like it's one of those things I think also where he was like, this is the aesthetic of the album. I'm a man of the woods. We should definitely name a song Flannel. There's a song called Living Off the Land. It's all
like
over.
a joke.
It's
It
like
just seems like Clickhole wrote a
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake album.
yeah, he's trying to combine country with hip hop, but it's not working.
But he's not Bubba Sparks, so he can't do it.
Yeah. It's all over the place. I'm trying to think of other recent albums.
Where do you hail from?
I was born here. My parents are from here, but I grew up in Los Angeles.
Oh,
I moved here when I was 2. So I moved from here when I was 2. So
Okay.
so New York parents,
yeah,
but bred in LA.
Yeah,
Or-
bi-coastal at my
Bi-coastal.
core. Yeah.
How do you think, like, what's the influence of that, your family and stuff like that? Because that's a very East Coast family,
Yeah.
but living out in a super different place.
Yeah. Well, my mom is super into Motown, so she would play all that when I was growing up. Yeah. And then my dad is more like rock, and he is like super into music, contributing, because he also like is like into film and works on films and stuff. So he kind of introduced me to like, I also really like movie soundtracks. Those are fun. And yeah, like the combination of music and visual art, I think also is an influence. But in terms of like any bands that I like, none of them really like influenced me. Like my mom didn't show me Regina Spektor, you know?
Sure. Was your parents' work what brought them out to LA?
No,
film
I think it was partly they didn't want to raise. So I also have a sister she was born when I was like 1.5. So I think they were like, we don't want to raise kids in New York. There are a lot of rats, I guess, at the time. And I think that's what my mom said when I asked her. I was
so
like,
funny.
there were so many rats. And then also I had family in California, so it didn't have to do with work or anything. It was just they were like, this is a better place to raise children.
Are they still out there? Or-
Yes, but I think both of them want to come back.
Yeah.
My brother's in college, and then my sister is still in LA. But I think that they both want to live out their days in New York.
And there's less rats now. So
Yeah, yeah.
And how did you come back to New York?
I definitely had somewhat of a fantasy of growing up living in New York. Ever since I was young, because my parents would always talk about it. And then when I was applying to colleges, I applied to a lot of schools in New York City, and I didn't get into any, but I got into Syracuse, which was 4 hours north. And so I went there, I studied acting, and our second semester of your senior year is abroad in New York City. So you come to New York City, you take classes with like casting directors, you like see shows, and then that kind of assimilates you into New York. But like between that and when I moved, I'd only been back to New York like once during a winter break or Thanksgiving break at college. But I always knew that I wanted to move here.
how was Syracuse?
So cold. That was good. I mean, I'm glad that I had the experience that I did. I definitely, was like, I want to go to NYU and I want to live in the city and already be in the city, but then that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, and I hadn't imagined a big college campus experience, but I also was in the drama department, which was pretty small, and I didn't really go outside of it. So like I went to half of a football game my whole 4 years. So
Which half?
the first, of course.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and then we left. But yeah, it was like it was good. It was an interesting experience of a small drama department, lots of drama, and it was very cold and not much to do. So then when we came to New York, it was very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I went to school in Rochester.
Oh.
So A less hilly, also very cold experience. But I can't imagine, because I'm from the area, from down here, and I can't imagine what it's like coming from LA and then dealing with lake effect snow.
Yeah, the first time I saw snow was cute. I was cute about it, but then after that, I was like, but I don't. I'm not one to get down about weather too much, I think.
Yeah.
But it would just be, stay inside the whole time.
Yeah.
Totally. Now, with this kind of like connection to cinema or soundtracks and things like that, and in your work doing comedy and or films, like shot for shot remakes.
Yeah.
But do you find that music works its way into a lot of what you do?
Well, it is now, because I've recently been doing some dance comedy stuff. Well, I started because I've always like loved to dance, but not in a like, I never took classes, but and sometimes I hear a song and like you kind of see. So you see like the comedy in certain songs. So I've always been like just collecting songs that I'm like, I would love to like just dance to that, and it would be silly. And then I did Dancing with the Star Stuffs at Reckless, which is like a dance competition show. So it's like they give you a theme, you come up with a dance with a partner, and it's supposed to be like kind of funny. So that was how I started doing that. And then I've started to do my own pieces. Like tonight I'm going to dance to Daddy Issues by Demi Lovato, but dressed as a dad. and that's literally all the dances. I don't really dance like a dad. Like I try and dance well.
Right.
But yeah, so I've started to incorporate music into comedy. And also I like recently like did a half-hour show, and I used music as transitions between pieces and stuff, because I'm really not a fan of the whole like lights down thing. So so it's starting to become more of a thing for me.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I would imagine that is like, it's like adding a tool to your arsenal almost as a performer.
And it's fun to think of songs in a comedy format, because there can be a natural heightening, because you're like, okay, now we're back at the chorus again. So like if I'm trying to come up with like a comedy dance, I'm like, okay, well now we're returning to the chorus again, but what's different? Is like the dance more, ridiculous or something? And it's also, fun to be like, okay, the actual lyrics of the song are funny. Let me highlight just the lyrics. Or like, it's not really the lyrics of the song that's funny. It's like, how I'm going to be dressed or something. It's fun to think of different ways to use music and different, ways that dance or that music has game in it.
Yeah, for sure. Backing up a bit, it sounds sort of like Melodrama, this album, has almost everything you could want in an album.
Yeah.
Right? That's what. So it feels like the bar for maybe like.
It has been the bar for me.
The next album you really fall in love with is super high.
Yeah, because it's got like deep songs that make you want to cry, and then songs that make you want to dance, and then they're all either of those two things, and that's.
Are those your two wheelhouses?
I don't know. I'm not really big like whenever I'm sad, I don't like listen to music and cry, but I do love music that makes you like feel and think. And then, love to dance. And I listen to music a majority of the time walking to places. So a lot of the time I'm just looking for like a good beat or something with momentum in there.
Yeah, I wonder if that'll influence like the next thing or just like how you start to seek out new music.
Yeah.
Because like, especially this song, I can imagine riding a train and like having it be very cinematic. Or just like it's good for walking, and like I love stuff like that where like the lyrics are kind of deep, but you're walking around New York and just like looking at, this is what I was doing on the way down here, just like looking at people going, I wonder who that is and what that story is. And it's kind of cool when like you can sort of drop out of reality and be like, I'm walking through a movie.
That's me all the time. Also, I just realized that like after I listened to Melodrama, I then went back and listened to her first album, Pure Heroine, and also fell in love with it. And I already was like, I love her, but that first album is really good too.
Yeah.
It was all electronically done, and it's just so fun.
Yeah, it really sounds like this album just sort of kicked down some doors for you on like,
and then I like did a show that was like the album, and I had some people do like covers of songs and do dances to songs. We like went through the whole album top to bottom.
Yeah,
and
talk to us about that show a little bit.
Yeah, so it was, I was listening to the song. I was like, I see, this song is just like these songs make me like see things, and also like I was like, I've never been so obsessed with anything before. And I started off the show by being like, a very prolific artist once said, if you're obsessed with something, like make art about it. And then I'm like, oh wait, that was Woody Allen, but which I don't know if it was, but yeah, it was just like I was compelled to like share. And then also I think I posted like who really loves this album, and so many people commented.
That's awesome.
So I was like, why not do that? And what also was kind of fun is that I like curated it. I didn't like just open it up. I was like, okay, I have these friends that are really good at music. I was like, I want them to do a cover of Rider in the Dark, and like I want a cover of this song for sure. And then I'm like, oh, like though I was like, sober, let's just make it a drinking game, and you drink every time they say sober. And then so that was very fun to kind of like dole out. And then when it all came together, it was a really awesome night because it was just everyone who was obsessed with the album was there, or all the people who were there were obsessed with the album, and we had a great time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you tweet Lorde about it?
I did.
Nice.
No, I didn't. I don't know if I tweeted her about the show, but I tweeted her the morning right after we filmed the video. I tweeted her. I was like, "Hey, girl, just want to let you know, I just blah blah blah. I'm like such a big fan. Maybe you could see it. Don't sue me." And then the morning that I was like, "Your album is so good. Here's the link to the video." She never responded, but I'm planning on really bombarding her on Twitter leading up to April 4th when I go see her at Barclays Center.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, truthfully, she does seem like the kind of person that would see that kind of thing. And
well, sometimes on her Twitter, she responds to people, and I'm like, I gotta get in there. So I might just be like, hey, I made this video, and like, oh, my friends made this video, and just like really roll out a whole week or something.
And like the thing about artists that like I really connect with is I also get that feeling of just like, oh, now I want to make something. Like when I hear an album or see a show or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
the best art inspires you to make art.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess just like, I don't know. It's also cool because they're a human too, and like send it back to them and be like, hey, look what you did.
Yeah.
You did this to me.
I know. I want her to see it.
She will.
It's on Funny or Die, so.
She has access.
Yeah.
They have the internet in New Zealand.
I know, I hope so.
Did you have a similar like big turn with wanting to be an actor, or was that something you knew you always were into and something that you kind of like, was that a lifelong pursuit?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I, was a theater kid, and that was just one of those activities that like my parents, I think, just put me in. But I think I was like that kind of kid. So I always did like theater and acting, and then in like middle school, like that was just like my main extracurricular. And then in high school, I was like a junior and I was doing all the play production stuff, and it was time to apply for college, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll do acting. And I like I auditioned for a bunch of schools, but also did like theater like studies and playwriting, some general stuff. But so that was one of those things that was kind of always there. But then like with comedy, because comedy is like, I learned like its own thing, very different from acting and from theater. And it was like my sophomore year of college, and I went to go see a show at UCB in LA. And that was when I started to get more into actual like comedy. And in my junior year, I would, in my free time, just watch lots of shows and just try and catch up. Like, I still haven't seen all of The Office, but like, I'm trying. And like, I would just be like, what are the important things to know for comedy? And I had a moment in my junior year of college where I was like, do I drop out of theater school so I can like pursue comedy? Cause like, they're kind of different. But I didn't, cause I wanted to get that classic training.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Yeah, and also with comedy too, it wasn't exactly like a big epiphany. It was just like, oh yeah, I love this, and I've been funny my whole life.
So something that more seemed like sitting right there, waiting for you almost, because it sounds like you eased into it in a way that was really comfortable.
Yeah, and I'm not good at anything else. They all the time in school. They're like, if you can do anything else but this, like, do it. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So, yeah.
But now you're down here doing it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's cool as hell. Because the thing is, like, as you were just talking about, at any level, I mean, and now it's like you host that show, let's say, right, about the album, or you do any of the other shows that you do. It's like there's going to be somebody junior to you who sees that, who gets more inspired to do their own thing because you're doing it. And it's hard, I think, to have that perspective at maybe like a level where you don't feel like successful yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's happening, and that's a cool place to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely don't think enough about what I've accomplished. I'm definitely always like, what's the next thing? Like, I got to get better. I should be doing this. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I got to, so.
Yeah, it's good to sort of pause and reflect on things. Cause so I went to art school and in college I was like, I'm so good at this. And I recently went through my college portfolio and I was like, this is all garbage. But it's like, I think the hardest thing for everybody is, or for most people, I should say, is to just start.
Yeah.
Because starting is the hardest part because you're not going to be good and that's okay. And the more you do it, the more you find your niche. And it's cool to be at that point. Yeah.
And I especially with the Melodrama show, I was like, if I love what I'm doing, like if I love the show, then it's going to be a good show.
Yeah.
Literally for sober, I just stood on stage and drank. Like it was not entertaining or it wasn't like a polished thing, but just that as opposed to sometimes I'm still kind of like struggling with like stand up and what to talk about and things like that and just normal stand up.
Yeah. And
also with improv too, I'm like kind of in a rut with it because it's like, a whole format and blah, blah, blah. But I'm learning that like love and just like being excited about what I'm doing will make me better at it and make it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like a beautiful note to end on.
Oh, look at that.
Jesse, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you guys. This was awesome.
How can people keep up with you? Where can people see you? What's going on?
Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Messy Roth, MESSYROTH. And just start there. And that's probably the best place because I post dumb videos and I'll post about when I'm doing a show.
Cool.
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed this episode, folks, please, rate and review, do the podcast things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
5 stars.
5 stars.
From me.
Tweet it to your friends. Jesse already gave it sign off 100%.
Yeah. Tweet it to Lorde.
Tweet it to Lorde.
Yeah, this is the second podcast I've talked about her on, so
wow. She's got to hear it. You're getting good media coverage.
I hope so. People start to associate. They're like, "Oh, you love Lorde," and that's like part of my thing. Sometimes.
It's a good brand to have.
Yeah, you know what I mean about Carly Rae.
Yeah, it's a little bit of my brand these days. Yep. Thank you again for joining us so much, Jesse, and thanks to everyone out there who listened to this episode. Until next time,
hit repeat.
Yeah.
Repeater is hosted by Evan Ford Barden and Patrick Cartelli. This episode was recorded at Magnet Training Center in New York City, where they offer classes in improv, musical improv, sketch writing, storytelling, and more. Find out more at magnettheater.com. Visit us online at repeater.show for live dates, hot music tips, and show archives. Theme music by the Sun Lions. Everything else by Love Nest Productions. Welcome to Repeater.